you don't understand who your target market is, your product, your service, your marketing machine, and any other thing that you bolt on will not mean a dang thing. I've said that over and over again to so many of the business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals that I have coached over the years. And as we enter into part 2 of our series on relentless lead generation, I want to help you understand why knowing your target market and targeting them specifically is one of the most critical pieces of your entire sales system. You need to know who they are and how to get inside their mind in order to speak the right things to them to ultimately fill that pipeline of yours and start generating the business that you desire to generate. So just to recap, in our last video in this series, we talked about mastering prospecting. We talked about the challenges around the lack of prospecting. And I shared with you a bunch of different ideas on how to bolster the volume of prospects that you are getting to fill the top of that funnel and ultimately bring them down to a place where you can ask them the magic question. You ready to do business? Because I know I am. But today, in this video, I want to talk to you about, again, understanding your target market. I want to help you get inside your target market and help you to have authentic conversations with them, to truly understand them, to know them, to connect with them, to resonate with them. You know, I coach a lot of sales professionals, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, and as I do, this theme of not knowing their target market well enough is just profound to me. You know, most people know the demographic. They know the size of the company. Many of them know, even though they'll say anyone, they have a good idea of who their specific target market is in terms of an industry that they're in, maybe the buyer that they're supposed to be speaking to. But truly knowing the prospect, truly having a deep understanding and awareness for who that prospect is, how they think, what their behaviors and beliefs are like, is something that most people do not understand. And I'll just let you know right now, in the next video in the series, we're going to be talking about crafting an effective sales pitch, but you cannot do that. You can craft a pitch, but you cannot craft an effective sales pitch until you know specifically who your target market is. And so stop trying to do that. If you find yourself continuing to fall flat, maybe you're finally getting people on the phone, but you can't convince them to want to do business with you or take the next meeting with you. Maybe you get to a certain step in your sales process and you can't get it across the finish line. There's a high likelihood it's because you're talking to the wrong people. Yes, maybe the wrong decision maker or not the decision maker, but I think you're actually talking to the wrong type of person. So we're gonna break that down a little bit more. But before we do, by the way, I want to help you understand what we're going to talk about, just so I can preface this. So I want to talk about the essence of connection, why that is so important to understand connection. I want to talk to you about the challenge of understanding our target market. I want to help you to overcome that barrier. And then we're going to land the plane by giving you a homework assignment, something that you can do on your own. And how great that you're going to be given a gift, literally a gift, in being able to practically apply this just by watching this video. So stay tuned for the end where I'm going to give you a homework assignment. But don't fast forward there. I know you could do that, but don't do that because you need to understand this stuff if you're going to apply it later on. Okay, so when I think about connection, I think about what's happened to us over the last 10 years. I say us in general because I think the world is in a far different place than it was 10 years ago. You see, 10 years ago, and then even rewind farther, 20, 25 years ago when I got into sales, it was all about personal relationship. As a matter of fact, I was just on the phone with a brand new client that I'm doing a sales workshop for, and I've known him for about 15 years. And I say brand new client because this is the first time that we are going to do business together, with me being a coach and him in the business he's in. I used to be a vendor to his company in a different organization decades ago. But we were talking, and he said that one of the things he's challenged with is trying to sell a higher priced item that can be seen as a commodity, a higher priced service and a product that can often be seen as a commodity, trying to sell that in an age where email is king of communication. And he said, don't you remember when we used to sit down with each other and talk? I mean, he and I used to hug. He's like this amazing Italian dude, and so we just had this great relationship, and it was personal. You felt it literally. I mean, we hugged, and over the last decade or two, we've lost that. We've lost that because of two really big reasons. Number one is we've lost that because technology has outpaced us in the sense that it's become so easy to engage in technology, which, by the way, is a gift. Email, text message, digital or communication like this through video, Zoom, all those types, social networking, all that type of stuff, AI, it's all an incredible benefit, but it also has removed some of that human-to-human connection. So that's been a problem. On top of that, the pandemic created a barrier in which we couldn't get face-to-face, have that human-to-human connection. And coming out the other side, we have just accepted to some degree that that's the way it's always going to be now. And I'm going to come right out and say it. If you want to win in sales in 2024 and beyond, get more personal. Get face-to-face. Do whatever you can to get face-to-face with your prospects, with your clients, with your centers of influence, with any business relationship that you have. It's going to be far more valuable to you if you do that. So connection is incredibly important. You have to understand that we are emotional, touchy-feely human beings, even for you tough guys out there. It is far better to shake a hand, to hug, to see each other in person, eyeball to eyeball. Connection is so important. In addition to being able to hear what people are saying, we can see what they're saying. We can pick up on a lot of visual cues. So with all that being said, that's the context of connection that I'm talking about, because we're trying to connect to our target market. Now I want to help you to think through the challenge that you're facing with your target market. So one of the biggest challenges that you're facing is you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you're actually looking for in terms of the type of people that you want to do business with. If you were to sit down and consciously think about it, you would, but you don't know right now. So geographics can be very, very important, the location of your client. Demographics can be important in terms of size, industry, style, things like that. But there's this third component that people today are calling psychographics, and sometimes people get lost in that word. And really what that means is the beliefs, values, actions, behaviors of the actual buyer that you're going to go face-to-face with, the decision maker that you're going to go face-to-face with. Psychographic connection is so incredibly important. I mean, think about your best client. Think about the client that you love doing business with the most. Not necessarily the one that pays you the most, though maybe they do. But think about the client that you love doing business with the most. I will bet you that you have a lot of alignment. I mean, I think about this guy that I was just talking to, Italian guy. My family's Italian, so we get it there. He's far more Italian than I am in terms of like he just lives it. He's a forget about it type of guy. But he's a great family man. He loves his boys and his daughters so much. He's a hard worker. He has great values. I mean, these are just things like we hung up the phone. By the way, we haven't talked on the phone in years and years and years. And we hung up the phone telling each other we loved each other. That's the type of person that I want to do business with. I mean, I don't want you to tell me you love me if you don't, but if that's how you feel, I want to know that. Like, those are the types of people that I want to work with. What types of people do you want to work with? What types of values do you want your clients to have? What types of beliefs? What types of behaviors? What types of actions? What types of interests? These are the things we need to think about. We need to understand that. We also should consider the challenges that they've faced, both individually and as an organization. And if there's some alignment between challenges we face and they face, deeper connection. That connection is going to be far more sticky. Hopes and dreams. Where do they want to go in life? Where do they want to go in business? These things are incredibly powerful for us to be connected to as well. When I think about my greatest hopes, dreams, and desires, to have more freedom, to be able to spend time with my family, to be able to enjoy the things I love, it's like I want to work with people that love those things too, because I want to talk about those things with my clients, and you should too. You're just going to have a deeper sense of connection. And by the way, when you can understand those things early, you can build that authentic connection, that foundational layer before you even start talking about business. So it's so incredibly important that we think about our prospect, the behaviors, the beliefs, the nature of who they are. These are the things that we want to understand about our target market, because when we do and we can align over those things, it's going to make the sales process that much easier. They are going to resonate with our sales pitch, again, which is coming up in the next video. They are going to resonate with our sales pitch far more often and far more powerfully, which is what we want, right? We want them to resonate. When I communicate passionately about how much I love helping people just like you to overcome your sales challenges and achieve your sales goals and put more money into your pocket so you can go out and live the life that you want to live with your family and friends and whoever else, that gets me pumped up. And if that gets you pumped up too, we should be working together, right? Like that's what I want you to hear. And that's what I want your prospects to hear from you. But you got to be talking to the right types of people, which means you have to understand your target market. It's not easy. It takes more time. It takes more patience. That's why, again, it's such a challenge to understand. It's not just that we haven't thought through it, but we haven't really thought about it and taken the time to apply it, even once we've thought through it. Don't spray and pray. Quality over quantity every single time. Unless you're selling a little widget, then you probably don't value what I'm saying to you, and that's okay. But if you're selling mid to high ticket items, if you're selling long-term relationships with a high lifetime value of your client, you have to be thinking about these things. Spend more time dealing with the right people. You'll stop wasting time talking to the wrong people. You want to fill that funnel, not with garbage, but with money, with gold, with jewels, crypto, whatever you want. But you want the top of that funnel to be full of the right type of stuff. Okay. So I've talked a little bit about overcoming the barrier as I was talking about the challenges that we're facing, but I just want to talk about just a couple of very practical things here, just to wrap that piece up. And then I'm going to get into the call to action, because this video is already longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's just because I get really excited about talking about this stuff, because I love it for myself and I love it for you. Because when I work with clients and I teach them this and they apply this to their own business, they see far greater sales results. And that's what you are after, right? You're after a far greater sales result. So just thinking about practically, what do I do to better understand who my target market is? So again, don't abandon geographic demographic. Take the geographics. By the way, think about this up front, and we're going to talk about this in later videos as well. But when it comes to like persistence and follow-up and other things, building strong relationships, we're going to talk more about that later. Think about this, at least consider this if you haven't already. When it comes to geographics, I know that technology allows us to do business anywhere and everywhere now. I would encourage you to do as much local business as you can. As much business in your own backyard. I'll bet you'd never run out of opportunities if you focused on your backyard. It's just a little bit scary because you're limiting your possibilities in your mind. But if you focus local geographics, then you can go face-to-face, eyeball-to-eyeball, which is what I'm trying to say is going to build the best connection anyway. If not, you got to get on a plane and fly there or figure out how to be there more regularly. And I understand this. I do a lot of business nationally. And so in order for me to go face-to-face with my clients, I got to fly to them. I got to fly to places that they're going to be to, conferences and events and things like that. It just makes it more difficult. I wish I had more clients locally here in Southern California. By the way, if you're watching right now and that's you, let's talk. I would love to help more Southern California-based businesses to generate revenue, more Southern California sales professionals to generate revenue. Okay, so when it comes to identifying your target market, so geographic, right? Talked about that. Demographic, so you do want to think about size of the organization, whether it's employee count, revenue, whatever. You want to think about other demographics that include things like industry, business type, maybe client type that they're serving. So those things are all going to be important for you to consider. I work a lot better with mid to high ticket sales, service-based businesses, or complex product-based sales, because again, it's a lot more about the sales process and not just throwing a price out there, even though many of you are throwing too much price out there. We'll talk about that in another video too. So you want to think about all those things. But lastly, I want you to strongly consider psychographics. I want you to think about beliefs, behaviors, ideas, approach to life, actions. I want you to really consider those things. Think about what a detailed persona of your ideal person to do business with that works in the industry, of the company size, in the geography that you want. Go down to that degree. Get really narrow. Trust me, you're never going to run out of prospects. Never run out of prospects, even if you continue to limit it more and more and more. You've heard me say this before. I'll say it again. Niches produce riches. I didn't say that, actually. Alex Hormozy did, but I think it's just such a wise thing for us to follow. Niche down, get more narrow, and the nichiest you can get is going to be based upon psychographic information. Who the buyer is specifically, who the buyers are specifically, what things make up them as people, the essence of them. Okay, so your call to action: create a buyer persona. Understand exactly who it is you want to work with and write down every bit of it. And you may be saying to yourself, Ryan, how do I find out what somebody believes? The power of social media. Hey, Ryan, how do I understand how somebody acts or thinks? Sometimes you got to ask them. Sometimes it's going to take time. Maybe that's how you're going to start asking for introductions to other people from your COIs, is you're going to start asking for introductions to people that think and act in a certain way and not necessarily are just in a role or an industry that is interesting to you. So you're going to have to dig in deeper. You're going to have to go to work here, but it's going to be so worth it for you to go to work here. Okay? So that's the call to action, to create a buyer persona. So that's homework. That's what you need to do once you're done with this video, if you've watched this entire thing. So create a buyer persona that deeply reflects exactly who you want to work with. Remember, it's so important for you to know this well. But I'm in the process of talking to a prospective client right now. I actually don't think that I'm going to end up working with them because their ideas and my ideas, I think they're just too far apart. But I've been getting a lot of pushback because they wanted to hire me to come in and train their team on selling. And the more that I understood where their sales process was breaking down, the more I began to push on the fact that I actually don't think they know who they need to be working with. And they came back to me and they said, we know exactly who, and they tried to spell it out. And I said, exactly, you don't know who. Because if you knew exactly who you were working with, your message would be far different than it is right now. And you'd be getting a lot farther in the sales process. You wouldn't be getting people ghosting you. You wouldn't be getting people that would tell you, oh, maybe later. You wouldn't be getting people that told you maybe another time. You wouldn't get people that told you like, oh, I'm not sure. You'd be gaining a lot more clarity and making a lot more progress. And so this happens over and over and over again. I had this discussion in my coaching group a couple of weeks ago around understanding target market. And everybody that was on the call ultimately admitted that they don't really know this very well. It's so important to know this. So spend time to build your buyer persona. Get down to the nitty gritty. Get as niche-y as you possibly can. If you want to relentlessly generate leads, you have to understand your target market. You need to get inside of that market. You need to build authentic conversations with them and connections with them so you can ultimately, passionately deliver to them the things that you believe are going to transform their life and transform their business. Up next is going to be crafting an effective sales pitch. But I want you guys to marinate in this. It'll be another week before that video is out, but make sure you do that. And by the way, if you haven't seen the first video in the series around mastering prospecting, I encourage you to go back and listen to that too, because that will help you to understand how you can start to build up this funnel. But The funnel should be filled with the right type of prospect, your target market, that ideal person that you want to work with and that wants to work with you. Thank you guys so much. Get out there, smash them sales goals. Can't wait to share with you this next video, number 3 in the series, coming up really, really soon. Thank you.